Hi, my name is Betsy Van Beek, and I am presenting a case study of co-teaching with English language learners. My research question is, how has co-teaching affected the figured and positional identities of the teachers involved? My theoretical framework, or little background, is a figured identity is the self that one imagines or wishes oneself to be. In contrast, the positional identity is oneself in relation to others. That self is negotiated with and co-constructed by others. The setting of my study was a small district high school in a rural Rocky Mountain region, 54% Latino, 42% white. My participants were two white middle-aged female teachers. One's name is Sharon, and she is an AP English teacher, department head, and also the push-in CLD, or culturally and linguistically diverse, co-teacher. Rachel is an experienced classroom teacher in English and CLD. For this case study, I used 3 semi-structured interviews that lasted about 1 hour each, 1 group interview and 2 individual interviews. One class period I observed, and I collected artifacts, which were objects that represented who the teachers thought of themselves as teachers. The interviews were transcribed and coded using NVivo. I found 40 codes and used those to create themes. So my findings, I found lots of interesting things, but focused right now on identity. So the figured identity of these teachers: Rachel values connections and high expectations for herself and her students. Sharon prefers to have a plan and likes to provide the best for all students. So these teachers had a foundation of trust and support. Sharon was Rachel's mentor teacher before they were co-teachers, so they knew each other and trusted each other. However, there's a lot that changed when they became co-teachers. Sharon had to find a new role for herself. She was not the classroom teacher. She was coming in, she describes herself as the guy on the side. So she had to find some purpose in that, and that she co-constructed with Rachel. So Rachel described Sharon as the reality check in their relationship. Sharon is the one that would always say, hey, this isn't working, or this should change, or let's think about taking something off the ELL students' plates. And Sharon embraced that role as well by seeing herself as an observer. They both had to find a new identity, and that involved adaptability. Rachel said, I can have amazing new things we want to do, but if the kids aren't benefiting from it, then what's the point? Leave your pride at the door. So she had to adjust herself and her expectations, and Sharon had to learn to modify on the fly. She is a teacher who likes to have a plan, but she had to learn to be flexible. I found that there was continued conflict between the identities of their figured identities and their positional identities. In co-teaching, Rachel had to give up a close connection to her ELL students. She said, I don't get to know some of these kids well, or as well, just because of the time that I don't spend with them outside of the room. And Sharon had to give up her satisfaction about a well-planned lesson. She said she's taught AP for 12 years now and got it down, but this co-taught class always feels like she'd do something differently next time, or she wished she had given them something else. Finally, I found, in keeping with research, that a lot of negotiation had to happen on the part of the ELL teacher. So Sharon stated that she had to negotiate and suggest ideas. She said, I would say something, and at first it wouldn't necessarily be accepted right away. She would have to think about it and then come back and say, yeah, you're right. So even though Sharon was a department head, had been a mentor teacher, she had a lot of status in terms of this relationship, but still being the ELL co-teacher, she had to be really careful about how she suggested things. So in conclusion, co-teachers and administrators should be encouraged by the positive growth that these teachers experienced. Co-teaching was a chance for them to try new things, to support each other in new endeavors, and they really shared that. They valued co-teaching a lot because they saw that it benefited the ELL kids. However, it was challenging and involved a lot of negotiation, which came out in the interviews and the observations. So co-teachers' figured identities may be challenged and may come into conflict with their positional identities required by teaching with another person. And significant negotiation is still required by the CLD co-teacher to make modifications, even when both teachers have a trusting relationship and maybe the CLD teacher has a higher status at the school. So further research should be done on this topic of identity. I felt like I was just scratching the surface in terms of how these teachers have had to negotiate the change in who they are as teachers. So thank you and have a great day.